All right, let's take a look at section 3.3, which is the slope of a line. All right, um, okay, start again. Slope of a line refers to how steep a line is and which direction it's tilting. So we could have a line that is fairly flat, like this, or we could have a line which is very steep, like this. Um, we could have a line that goes up as we go to the right, or we could have a line that goes down as we go to the right. So all of this is kind of encompassed in this word slope. So how steep is it? And in fact, which is it going up or down? Okay. There are three different ways to find slope. It depends on what you're given. So if we are given a graph and we want to find slope, we can use rise over run. So if we look at this line right here, and we look at this point and this point, we count how many units we go up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going up 5 units. That number goes on top. This is my rise. And how many we go to the right? So I'm going 1, 2, 3 to the right. And so this is what's called run. And so my slope would be 5 over 3. Always put the how much we go up or down. We always put the rise on top. Rise over run. Okay. More mathematically, rise is called the vertical change in y, and the run is called the horizontal change in x. So as I was saying, in this particular, using this line, the slope would be 5/3. All right, when we do this problem, it does not matter at all whatsoever which point we start at. We can start at this point and go to this point, or we can start at this point and go to this point. It doesn't matter. You will end up with the same slope regardless. So I'm randomly picking this point, doesn't matter. And I want to know how many units I go up. Remember, rise is up, but in fact, I'm going down. So that will give me a negative rise, okay, because I'm going down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going down 6. And then how many am I going to the right? So I'm going 1 to the right. So that would be a positive 1. Slope would be -6. Okay. Now, just to show you that you would get the same slope, -6, let's go from this point to this point. All right. So I'm going to start here. And this time I'm going up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going up 6. So that's a +6. But in this case, I'm actually going to the left one. So that would be a -1. 6 divided by -1 is still -6. So we use the letter M for slope. So my slope would be -6. Now, if we are not given a graph, instead, if we are given two ordered pairs, we are going to use the formula. There's a formula I'm going to show you on the next slide. But the formula uses what's called subscript notation. And we read it like this. If I have x and this little number 1 down here, we would read it as x sub 1. If we have a little 2 down here, we would read it as x sub 2. Some students who are not familiar with notation for math think these are actually exponents. They are not. So if you had this would mean an exponent. This would mean x squared. That's not what we have. We've got the 2 down here. It just means I have a second x value. That's all it means. So this is my first x value. This is my second x value. Same thing with the y's. We have y. Y sub 2, and we have y sub 1. So the x sub 1, y sub 1 refers to the first point, whichever point happens to be first. It can, like I said, doesn't matter which point we start at. And then this right here, x sub 2, y sub 2 refers to the second point. So when we find the slope using ordered pairs, we are going to subtract the y's and we're going to subtract the x's, and the y's do have to go on top of that. Remember, the y, the change in the y is the rise, and this is our run. Okay, so we're going to take the second y value, subtract the first one, take the second x value, subtract the first one. Find the slope of the line passing through this point right here. So we're going to take our, so we're going to call this point 1, and we're going to call this point 2. Like I said, it doesn't matter. You get the same answer, whichever one's point 1 and whichever one's point 2. So we're going to take our second y value, which is 4. We're going to subtract our first y value. Be careful. The formula says subtract. The number's negative. So I need both subtract and I need the negative. I'm going to take my second x value and subtract my first x value. Remember, subtracting a negative is adding the opposite, which means I have 12 on top. And on the bottom, I have negative 8. And I do want that simplified, but I do not want a decimal, and I do not want a mixed number. So 4 goes into 12 3 times, and we end up with negative 3/2. Okay, so if we have a line that goes up on the right-hand side, the slope is going to be a positive number. And if we have a line that goes down on the right-hand side, then the number for the slope would be negative. So we say it has a negative slope. Find the slope passing through these 2 points. All right, so we're going to take our second y value, which is 5, subtract our first y value, which is 5, second x value, and subtract our first. 5 subtract 5 is 0. And okay, when we divide this, be really careful. 0 divided by anything is 0. If the 0 is on bottom, that's a different story, but 0 on top, we end up with 0. So this has a slope of 0. I'm just going to plot these 2 points real quick. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And negative 1, 5. And notice that the line is actually a horizontal line. So turns out that when we have this slope of 0, it's always going to be a horizontal line because there's no rise. When you have a horizontal line, it does not go up or down from left to right. So something to keep in mind, you will need to know that. Horizontal line is going to have a slope of 0. Okay. Slope here, we're going to take our second y value, negative 4, subtract 1, 3, subtract 3. Notice this time we have a 0 in the denominator. What this is saying is take negative 5 and divide it by 0. Well, you guys know that you cannot divide a number by 0. It doesn't make sense. Mathematically, you cannot divide by 0. So what we would say is the slope is undefined. Okay, slope is undefined. And again, just to give you a picture of what's happening, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice this time I have a vertical line. That's because there's no run. It does not tilt one way or the other. There's no run. So any vertical line will have a slope that's undefined. Okay, so it would be a good idea for you to draw these pictures, copy these down, and these graphs, and you're going to need to know this information. So positive slope rises to the right, negative slope goes down. on the right-hand side. Slope of 0 is a horizontal line, and a vertical line will have an undefined slope. All right, I am going to stop the video here just to make sure that the video isn't super long. So I will pick it up in another video.